This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have an LG washing machine that has a leak at the door gasket. Here's the model number on the sticker here. And this is the washer and dryer combination. This is the smaller version. So to get this new gasket done, we've already got the gasket ordered and right nearby, and we're going to be removing this spring clamp on the front with a standard head screwdriver, just pulling that off. Then we'll peel off the front of the door gasket. You can see this little chunk is missing, and that's really where it was leaking. And they just get old over time and the rubber breaks. So I'm going to stuff the door gasket inside the washing machine, and I'll need to also end up removing the front panel. On some machines you can actually do this whole thing from the front without removing the panel, but on this version the other spring clamp that you have to remove is in a position where you really have to get the front panel off. So to do that, I'm going to remove some screws here on the front. I'm going to remove these two Phillips head screws that hold the plastic plate on. I'll pull off this bottom drawer and I'll zip out this other Phillips head screw. And then I'll use a standard head screwdriver to pry off that plate. And then there's a couple of Phillips head screws down here that are holding the bottom of the front panel on. So I'm going to zip out that one, and there's one over to the side of it. Zip out that one. Then we've got two Phillips head screws removed from the back of the top panel, and then we're going to push the top panel back by about an inch and lift it off. And then on this version there's also another panel in our way that just has a series of Phillips head screws holding it in, just small Phillips head screws. I think there's probably 8 of them. So we're going to take those out and just lift that panel off. So now we can lift that panel out of the way. We're going to pull out the detergent drawer, and then there's 2 long Phillips head screws we're going to remove from the detergent drawer. And these are stainless steel screws. They actually have a different silver color to them. So you don't want to mix these up. They're important. Those are important that we put those long ones back in later. We're going to pry off the front panel. Just pull it towards you, and then there's a couple of catches you want to push down with a standard head screwdriver here on the right side. One kind of in the middle and one on the right. And then you can get the control panel off and lift it out of the way. And then that will allow you to get to a couple of Phillips head screws at the top of the front panel. So I'm going to zip those out, and then you should be able to lift up a little bit on the front panel and pull it back towards you, and it'll hinge back to about 45 degrees, and then you can lift it off of the 2 clips that are holding it at the bottom. So just pull it back and lift up. And then we're using a special tool to get the spring clamp off of the one in the back. You can just pry it off with a standard head screwdriver like we did on the front too. We're putting liquid detergent on this inside rim of the new door gasket to lubricate it. It makes it much easier to put it on. If you don't put that lubricant in, it's really tough. On these smaller washing machines, this rubber's thick and it's not as pliable, so it takes a little bit of force to get it to push in over the rim of the plastic tub. So we're starting at the 12 o'clock position. We're going to push in using 2 thumbs, and then once we feel like it's locked in, we'll start pushing to the sides inch by inch. And just take your time. I've sped up the camera here a little bit, but work it around. Make sure that the door gasket's really in there as flat or flush against the plastic tub as you can get it, because when you put on the spring clamp, you don't want it to come loose. So here's the back spring clamp. We just want to attach the spring back, and we use that LG special tool to do that. If you don't have that tool, you can just connect the spring and then try to get it up on there with a standard head screwdriver to kind of pry it back over, but the tool really helps. The tool's kind of expensive. They charge about maybe $50 for this door gasket tool. So we've got the back clamp on, and now we're just going to put the front panel back on. We got it hinged at the bottom. It's on the bottom clips, and we're going to hinge it back in toward the front, just making sure the wire for the door switch is out of the way. And then we'll put in those two screws at the upper right, upper left hand corner. Okay, we got those in, and we're going to put the control panel back in. So we put in the bottom, and then we push in the top, and it'll just click into place. Get those two longer stainless steel Phillips head screws we'll put in to go underneath the detergent drawer. Put the detergent drawer back in. So now we're taking the gasket and putting it over the lip, the metal lip of the front panel. We're going to work it around, kind of like we did in the back. Just take your time. So we don't need to use liquid detergent on this part, but we're going to put some detergent on the spring clamp on the metal, and that'll help it to go on. That makes a big difference. We're putting those two small Phillips head screws at the bottom of the front panel that holds it against the frame. There's just two of them. We're putting the plastic piece back in. It just clicks into place. And then there's two tan colored Phillips head screws we use to put the plastic panel back on. And then we're going to put the little door back in and just push it in, close it. So here's the detergent we're going to use to put on the metal spring clamp. We're going to put the spring at the 6 o'clock position. We're going to start the clamp at the 12 o'clock position. We'll put it up there at the very top over the ridge. And using two hands, we'll pull down, spread the spring, and we'll push the spring in at the 6 o'clock position. Just take your time. Sometimes I use a screwdriver to help me. Close the door, and put this top panel back on, and we just set it down, and then we just have to add those I think it's 8 screws around the perimeter. Now we'll put on the top panel, so it's going to go on, and then we're going to pull it toward the front, toward us. Give it a little push from behind. Then we'll put those two Phillips head screws back in that hold that panel on from the back. Got those in, give it a test, make sure there's no leak. And that's it. Got a fully functioning LG washer dryer again with no leak. And usually have to do this at maybe the 8 to 10 year mark, because they tend to get a little bit of the rubber gets knocked off. So I hope that's been helpful to you. and you get your LG back working again. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe.